My name is Ernest Mupwaya, a DBA student with California Intercontinental University, and I'm going to make a presentation on Porter's competitive strategy in retail industry. My presentation covers basically 8 areas. I'll make an introduction to Porter's generic strategies, which are cost leadership, differentiation, cost focus, and differentiation focus. I will then discuss some criticisms of this generic strategy and other factors that should be considered in the selection of generic strategies, and then I'll make a conclusion. The Porter's generic strategies are 4. These are cost leadership, differentiation, cost focus, and differentiation focus. Cost leadership is a strategy where the company tends to design, produce, or market a comparable product or service more efficiently than competitors so that it can achieve cost leadership. And in terms of retail industry, there are a number of examples. Two examples are Walmart stores, INC, and Walmart adopted cost leadership strategy by striving to provide consumer goods at a lower price than competitors. Similarly, Amazon also adopted a similar strategy where they've achieved cost leadership in a range of products and goods. The next generic strategy is differentiation strategy. This strategy involves a company which strives to provide a unique and superior value to the buyer. For instance, Bolovant Breweries, brewing company in Arkansas City, which is basically traditionally been selling beer, has combined the beer business with retailing by selling t-shirts, hats, glasses, camping gear, home decors in their beer parlor. When you consider Walmart as well, you can check that Walmart, beyond just being a traditional retailing company, it has successfully combined traditional retailing with e-commerce omni-channels by providing valuable options to shoppers. For Walmart shoppers can opt to either walk into their retail shops or procure items online. So this way they're able to add additional value. The other generic strategy is cost focus. This strategy involves attempting to achieve low cost competitiveness while focusing on a particular buyer group or geographical area. In other words, focusing in a particular niche. Again, in terms of retail industry, one example is Potlatch Corporation, which has focused on manufacturing and supplying tissue. Instead of competing with other companies on the supply of tissue, the company has ensured that it produces this tissue at a low cost, competitive price, while only focusing on supplying some selected outlets. This way, the company has avoided advertisement and promotion expenses, thereby maintaining low cost while focusing on a particular niche. The other company is Redbox. This company involves in renting out DVDs, and they do this by deploying vending machines outside grocery stores and other retail outlets. The other generic strategy is differentiation strategy. The differentiation strategy is deployed on a particular buyer group or geographical market, again called a niche. Lululemon Athletica is a good example in the retail industry. It specializes in exercise equipment, supply of exercise equipment, athletic wear, and exercise accessories, basically for women. So in this case, the niche is the women market is a niche. Now, despite this explanation on generic strategies which many companies have been adopting. Some researchers have pointed out certain weaknesses or criticism of Porter's generic strategies. For instance, the strategies, these competitive strategies do not guarantee success. Even companies which have adopted them, there is no guarantee that some have succeeded while others have not. There's also an issue about the issue of sustainability. Some observers observed that these strategies, even when they're adopted, if you adopt one particular strategy, over a period of time, they lose the competitive advantage. Then the generic strategies, all of them have some kind of risks, but Porter's presentation is silent on the associated risks of these strategies. An example is a manufacturer of tractor, John Deere. After deploying a differentiation strategy, it could not sustain this strategy over a period or in the long term. So it had to apply innovation, which led to the production of customized products that were also cost effective through automation. Now, the value through automation was that the labor cost for the end users, the customer, was reduced, and hence the company was able to maintain its competitive strategy. According to Porter, for a firm to be successful, it should adopt one generic strategy, or risk being stuck in the middle between two generic strategies. Although there are examples, for example, Kmart was stuck in the middle by attempting to adopt two strategies. Other researchers recommend adoption of combination of two strategies in order to succeed. There are also other factors in the selection of generic strategy which must be considered. For instance, the effect of industry structure on the selection of strategy. Industry structure has an effect on the strategy adoption. For instance, fragmented industry characterized by small and medium-sized companies which compete for relatively small shares of the market. In such instances, it's recommended that a combination of cost leadership and the differentiation strategies would provide competitive advantage. Similarly, in the case of consolidated industry, which is opposite of fragmented industry, consolidated industry is dominated by few large companies which compete for relatively small shares on the market. In these particular instances, the recommended strategies is a combination of cost leadership and differentiation strategies, which when combined can provide strategic advantage or competitive advantage, because in such markets, consumers demand both superior product and low cost at the same time. In conclusion, the relevance and the application of Porter's generic strategies has been presented with examples. In my opinion, despite criticisms on Porter's work on generic strategies, Porter's work still remains an important guide to business managers and strategists, and also forms a strong foundation on which future improvements on the theory of strategy development and implementation can be anchored. At this point in time, I want to thank the viewers for their attentiveness, and also I would like to request that for those who have comments or any feedback, feel free to post on my site. Thank you very much.